Where are your skills at for playing up and down the neck of the guitar? Do you understand how scales are interconnected, and can you work through one scale pattern and have it flow easily into other shapes? You know, if you're curious about how this kind of stuff works on the guitar, stay tuned, because this week's Guitar Blog Insider is going to discuss a method for playing scales up and down the neck. You know, most guitarists will learn their scales in fretting regions, and the tendency is for the student to begin from a perspective of the scale's function working more vertically rather than horizontally. Now, the trouble with this form of learning is that when it comes to using scales, that scale is locked in a box if you only study it vertically. So rather than being applied in horizontal ways, that scale just always feels more comfortable to the student working only in that vertical shape. Now, in order to better comprehend how scale tones can be applied all over the neck, we can go and learn octave templates to better understand the neck areas. It's almost like it's going to set us up with boundaries, and then we learn in the next stage of how to interlock those small scale templates, which will start to form a more horizontal perspective for your scale, so that you could do scale runs and licks, and it'll just allow for a greater reach in more lateral sense. So let's begin with a scale template that involves octaves to help us set those boundaries of how our scale will sit on the neck. Okay, so we're going to use 3 separate octave layouts to form the boundaries of the places that we'll target on the neck for building our up and down the neck perspective. So starting from the note of D, because I'm going to be using some D minor scales for these examples, starting from the note of D, we're going to build some octave positions to kind of map out boundaries. So we're going to start from the 5th to the 7th frets of 5th and 3rd string. That's going to be our first layer. And then we're going to go from there into the next span. That's going to take us from 7 to 10. And then we're going to go to our next area, which is going to be 12th fret to the 10th fret from 4th string to 1st string. So now I've got these 3 regions. I've got these 3 octave areas. So that's covering from 5th to 7th, 7th to 10th, and then 10th to 12th. So those are my boundaries. That's going to establish sort of a generic area where we're going to try and fill in the region. First, without trying to go too crazy with licks and runs and all that, we're just going to fill them in with really basic 1-octave scale layouts. So in the first area there, between 5th and 7th, we're going to do this basic D minor scale. Alright, so that's a real generic one. Let's take a look at the next area. It's going to be off the 7th position. Generic D minor scales. Let's take a look at the last position there. It's based off the 12th fret of the 4th string. Okay, so each of those areas now, I've just built a really simple 1-octave scale run, all linear, nothing too fancy there. So now that we've established our octave regions, and we've got some scales within each of those boundary areas, let's organize a phrase that operates across that region and uses notes from all those small scale segments in D minor. So the melodic phrase that we're going to look at is in D minor key, and it's just going to run through from that 5th position area up around to that 10th position area. This is what I came up with for you. Here it is again. Alright, so you want to practice this ascending and work it out backwards too. In fact, you know what? I'm not even going to show you the tab for it backwards. I'd like you to figure that out on your own. Just plot it out slowly. If you want to freeze the frame and look at it, or go to my Blogger page where you can actually pull this right up on your screen and enlarge it full screen and see the pattern and work those lines, work that line backwards. I don't think people do that enough when they're playing and practicing guitar. You ever heard of the saying, learn it forward and backward? I mean, usually what I find is people will learn something exactly the way it's written out in the tab, and then they never take it any further than that. They don't even change keys with it. Like this is in the key of D minor, but take something like this and move it to F minor or move it to C minor or something. Change string sets with it. Move stuff around. Learn it backwards and forwards. You're going to get great chops on guitar if you do that kind of work. But getting back to the position-oriented concept that we're working with here, you can just take a few segments of the neck, build them up in sort of a boundary-based way with some basic scale layouts, and then come up, invent a line. I mean, this line I have, it's nothing too spectacular, but it's kind of an interesting interval sound. Got some interesting color to it. So, it doesn't have to be anything phenomenal in the beginning, but do this kind of work and you'll start playing much more laterally along your fingerboard with work like this than you will just always, sitting down and practicing those basic scales in position. That's only going to get you so far. You'll get really good at vertical work, but the horizontal work you'll be very weak at. So take this to heart and do this kind of work is super helpful for your guitar playing. So now practice playing this along the neck D minor scale phrase, both ascending and descending, just like I showed you. Then use the principles that we established in this lesson to create some of your own up and down the neck scale runs. After you get used to seeing boundaries by way of those octaves like I showed you, and also once you can understand how just smaller scale fragments, like I was playing between those octave areas, once you can understand how those combine to form phrases up and down the neck, you're going to be able to begin making up all kinds of melody lines that operate more up and down the length of the fingerboard. So I hope this helps you get a system established that will lead you to developing your own ways for performing guitar licks and runs up and down the neck. All it takes is some study time devoted to how scales connect within those limited boundaries. Add the scales in, understand how they lock up, and then come up with some of your phrases. After a while, you can work to even expand on those boundaries. You can take them further and further to include a greater span of the neck. But once you begin applying this information, it's super helpful for your guitar playing. Also, hey, if you want to learn more about what I do as an online guitar teacher, head over to my website at creativeguitarstudio.com and get your free lifetime membership. And when you feel you want more and you want to study more of the information on the site, you can always upgrade to a paid lesson package. There's a basic package, it's month to month, or you could do the premium package, which is a full year and you save $60. And there's lots of material on the site available to you. I've got a full introductory program, intermediate, there's an advanced course, there's loads and loads of information for you to get better at guitar on the site. So just head over to creativeguitarstudio.com, and as always, I'd sure be interested to hear your thoughts on all this stuff I talked about in this video. If you have anything to add, definitely add it in the comments section. Thanks for your time, and we'll catch up next week on my other channel, which is Creative Guitar Studio at YouTube, and we'll do another episode of the Guitar Blog Insider, so we'll see you then. Thanks for joining me, and have a great week. The Music Reading Phase 1 ebook has over 30 pages of comprehensive project lessons covering the entire fifth reading position on the guitar. Music reading charts and drills will work to help students memorize the positions of all the fifth position notes, including important sharp and flat tones. Several original and classic pieces of sheet music will help students to gain a solid understanding for this region of the neck. Rhythm studies, duration examples, plus song and location drills, along with 19 MP3 audio tracks, makes this one of the best music reading courses available. Music Reading Phase 1 is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com. When it comes to online guitar lessons, there's no place better than creativeguitarstudio.com. General membership to the site is always free, and paid memberships to access our step-by-step beginner, intermediate, and advanced guitar programs are offered in reasonable monthly and annual packages. Skype lessons are also available if you need more specific instruction one-on-one to discuss the finer details of your guitar playing. Sign up today at creativeguitarstudio.com. I've got 25 years experience teaching guitar and have written a well-organized step-by-step guitar course. Head over to my website at creativeguitarstudio.com and sign up for a free membership today. Join the thousands of members worldwide who have already enrolled. There's no need to try learning the guitar on your own. Let me help you become the best guitar player that you can be.